Is what I would say if I was reading the name of the r/hmmm subreddit without the r/ in front of it. Hi again, fellas, and welcome back to whatever I want to talk about. r/hmmm is one of the biggest subreddits on the site. It's very lax in how it describes itself to you. Internet as an art, said twice, and then followed by rules. Not much else besides that. And over the years, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of just like browsing this subreddit, whether it was my work on Calbus back when I was still involved with that channel. And basically, it's as it says. And it makes sense on like a very literal level and also like a more meta level where it's images that generally make you go, as well as like the whole concept of the community doing the same. And honestly, I've really enjoyed its staying power on the internet. There's a lot of reposts, don't get me wrong. You can't be around as long as this subreddit has without having that. In fact, it even has a classic repost flair when images that have been posted at least a dozen billion times get posted again. Classic repost, these police officers getting reeled in by donuts, I guess. The Simpsons has done a lot. The strangeness that makes up this subreddit can range from anything that like any old person looking at the image for the first time would have the same reaction you do to stuff that's a lot more like internet culture and internet chronically online reliant. And I've decided to curate a few from like the past month to the last year because I wanted to give you all a taste of this thing. I think I've named this video just with maybe a weird image and then me reacting with my quirked eyebrow like I do in every other video. So let's give it a whirl, shall we? If you enjoy this video, this card at the end will take you to another one like it. And did you know only 20% of y'all are subscribed with notifications on? If you sub in at that bell icon, you'll never miss an upload, and you can always undo it later. Here we have a person with a Mr. Fantastic stretched out arm just holding a dumbbell in your face. It's kind of fun. Stuff like this I really enjoy because it's very specific to the kind of lens on the camera you're using. Like, I can technically do that right now. If I hold something really close to the camera, because of the way it's shaped, it looks like it's so much larger up close than it really is. I look like Plastic Man pointing at you. Just the recreation of this Injustice slide as an image macro, it's basically the same. Look at how long my pointer finger looks, but how small it gets when I pull it back a little from the camera. It's a fun little quirk. I also love this like incredibly inefficient shower design. I can't imagine the amount of stub toes that have been created going in and out of this thing. But like when you think about the actual shower design, it's probably pretty good at keeping the water in. Like all the bits that splash at the edges are probably going to get caught on all but the smallest opening divot at the bottom. Because if you think about it, as a shower head's water gets further away from the shower head itself, it's a cone. It gets wider at the end, and that's why you have to have the most protection near the bottom so the splashes that come up don't leave the area. You'll often get a lot of stuff like this where it's people just showing off unironic, insanely creative talent. I won't lie, I like makeup. I appreciate when people do cool looks. I couldn't do anything near this, and then some people use it for, let's not say evil, but we'll say chaotic neutral means. Like, I can't imagine someone doing this look and then going outside with it as like an actual sleigh, no matter how much of a sleigh it is in reality. This was almost certainly made for a level of internet notoriety, which I do appreciate. Oh my god, he's got the nose! I'm gonna get a little sad on y'all, but I feel like a lot of the old kind of whimsical strangeness that came with looking at r/hmmm has been kind of lost with the advent of AI in recent years. Don't get me wrong, some people's diseases are getting cured using AI, which is an incredible improvement in human technology and means, but it makes you look at images like that and see the smudges on numbers like that 8 or in the WM and ask, is this a real bit that somebody came up with? But I'm fairly certain this is. Obviously, this dude's got the motherfucker's nose, but I'm honestly curious what was originally supposed to go in the indent where the nose used to be. Because, guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but he doesn't actually have the car's nose. Cars don't have noses. Actually, no, I guess they do. Another part of the beauty with r/hmmm is not just the lack of need for context, it's almost the requirement to not have it. These images have to be self-explanatory to an extent. Like, if we go to the actual rules in the subreddit, no text in the image except for normal logos. Like, the main exception is text that just exists organically inside the image. And I kind of love the story that this singular image tells. I don't know where he is in the world, I don't speak the Asian language on the screen of the iPhones, but this is like a universal story that most anybody who interacts with a smartphone or has been to an Apple store once every several years can understand. Or even if you've just seen a phone display in public, there's like that overwhelming urge to just kind of fuck around with the public display. Kid was just going around the table, going up to every iPhone, taking a selfie of himself at various angles, and then just setting it as the phone background. Now, it does beg the question, feels like it's kind of hard hard to get this angle of a person's face right here when you're taking a selfie. Like, if I try to recreate it with this camera, you have to very awkwardly pose yourself. Alternatively, this little kid is an innocent bystander, and some other guy has been taking pictures of him with these phones and setting that as the phone background. And this kid has no idea what he was signed up for without his knowledge or will. And here you have the standard going up to a statue and then doing something sexual to it. You know how there's like that meme online where the pieces of statues that get degraded the most are, if it's a woman, the breast, because people always grab them. This is like kind of a nice reversal because, let's be honest, that pose with the fingers is a little too perfect not to take advantage of that in some way. Like, homegirl over here has her hands on the dude's head just to like encourage him to keep going. I feel like I'm not the type of guy to often grab like a statue's titties or its cock, with the one exception being I was at the Disneyland Lego store in like 2018 and I thought it would be really funny to like grab the gigantic life-size Lego Hulk's crotch. You know what? It turns out I was right. That shit was hilarious. Welcome to Massachusetts, and it's a dude taking a selfie of Spider-Man being arrested by the cops. And to be fair, I feel like that's what the cops tend to do to any superhero. How long did it take the Gotham PD to realize, listen, man, we are out of our depth. We need this Batman guy? Like, his only friend in the force for the longest time was Commissioner Gordon, and that started before he was even a commissioner, and that dude had to lie about his connections to Batman for the longest time. And here you have just a bunch of people in full knight armor chilling at a bar. I'm not gonna lie, if knight armor wasn't such a pain in the ass to put on and incredibly sweaty to wear out and about, especially in the summer months when you're likely to stunt, I think I would quite literally suit up in this way at least a decent amount in my personal life. Like, you can't lie, these people look fly as hell, and especially when they roll as a unit, they have a lot of like cool cohesion. This is the type of outfit you usually only get to wear if you're like a celebrity invited to the Met Gala, or you're doing like an award show performance like Chappell Roan or Lil Nas X did that one year. It makes sense to me that knights were servants of like the ruling class, the landlords, and feudal society, because that shit is not cheap, but my god did they look fly while doing that shit. I kind of respect the hell out of this image and the kid pictured in it, because his vertical is just easily better than anybody actually interacting with the ball in this picture, and he does not seem at all engaged with the activity itself, which I find personally amusing. It doesn't look like he's entirely checked out or completely apathetic to the sport, but more like his mind is elsewhere, despite having this incredible skill at the competition he's in. It's incredible stuff we're seeing here. Here we have a commentary on the skill and general low IQ of BMW drivers. Despite all that money, you can't buy smarts. In an effort to mitigate them always taking up 2 parking spots, or 3 in this case, they've been allotted a special BMW-only parking bit where they're supposed to pull up into it diagonally like they would whether it was there or not, and just to spite the person who even tried to accommodate them, and completely fucked that up as well. This one's a little less the thesis of r/hmmm, where it's internet as an art, and more of just like cultural stereotypes as an art, because I feel like everybody understands to some degree, even if they don't know, that people who drive BMWs have this particular stereotype around them. Just change the logo in your head, or replace the logo with your buddy Greg's name because he parks like that all the time. Or maybe Greg's less of your buddy and more like your least favorite coworker who you have to keep being around, because as much of a dickhead as he is, he's actually pretty good at his job and kind of keeps the whole operation floating. So you just kind of let it slide when he does stupid shit like this and it pisses you off. That said, r/hmmm is not immune to the changing tides and very topical stuff to make jokes about. Like, one of the most popular posts in the last year was from January, when Elon Musk had his kid on his shoulders in the Oval Office, so people naturally like, well, he's not even the president. Shouldn't Donald have his own child on his shoulders? I was gonna say they could have picked Barron Trump, as that's like the one closest in age to little X, as Elon calls him, or Elon stans call him. But now I'm realizing he's a full-grown adult these days who apparently organized that whole Donald Trump Aiden Ross stream together. The best I can tell, though, people were like, who's the most full-grown looking Donald Trump descendant? And they're like, fuck it, put Donnie Jr. up there. I've always wondered, it always feels like Trump really fucking hates his oldest kids. Like, he enjoys Barron's company to an extent. But do you think he ever regretted naming Donald Trump Jr. after himself? He's like, I do not want this fucker as my namesake, dude. George Bush, the 9/11 one, got to cement his legacy as the George Bush in popular consciousness by A, managing to actually serve 2 full terms, and B, fucking us way harder than old HW ever managed to. Here's another one, and it had a second wave of popularity because of LA protests and whatnot. Stay safe if you're out there and if they're ongoing by the time this video goes out. But during the California wildfires, Gavin Newsom, I believe, ambushed Trump on the tarmac, and people are doing this, he's got the straight green line, while Trump's doing like the slightly acute angle leaning forward. I'm gonna try not to do too many Trump ones in a row because he gets like enough dedicated videos off his own actions instead of me just like bringing him up in every other favorite side quest I do? The Love Museum information. Here's a pro tip. If you live in New York or you're visiting anytime soon, go to the Sex Museum. It's really cool and really funny. When I went there, it had an inflatable bounce house room made up of titties. It was fucking awesome. But you're gonna tell me that the Love Museum is banning love making, dude? You're literally making history, an exhibit that could be featured in that very museum from even taking place. Like, what the fuck? Sometimes I just like looking at odd shit, stuff like this. It's not even that odd, it's just kind of a little creative, clever little jokes and wordplay. This pumpkin pie has not been whipped creamed all the way through, and instead of finishing the job, some dude's like, I'm gonna put my toy fucking car on this and make it look like it was drifting doing donuts, which I think is actually a much better idea. The question with this image specifically is that car straight up just made out of metal and only there as a show topper? A little piece of pizzazz that you're gonna have to take off if you ever want to actually eat the damn thing? Or is it made of chocolate where you can cut into it and actually give it out as slices to people at a party? Okay, I know I said I wasn't gonna do much more Trump dunking ones, but you gotta give me this one. He would definitely watch Skibbity Toilet. In fact, when the Michael Bay produced Skibbity Toilet movie comes out in theaters, I feel like he's gonna actually know what that franchise even is. It was only a matter of time before the executive office and presidency were affected by source filmmakers' influence. This one's just gnarly as hell. It could have easily been an album cover, and I'm sure people have already made that joke a dozen times in the comments. I'm not checking because I want to let it live off the dome of my own skull. But just a phone line, a power line, whatever it may be, cut completely in half, suspended mid-air. It even has a glowing bit where it got separated from the ground like it was cut in half by a lightsaber, and it still has the scorch marks from being melted clean off. If you don't think that's gnarly, I don't think you know what the word gnarly means. That shit whips so fucking hard, dude. Look at that. You have someone on public transit who has tied up their hair using a pen, which, you know, is probably a pretty convenient way to keep it around. I feel like people who tuck it behind their ear are at very high risk of losing that stuff throughout the day. But they made the mistake of A, not having the cap on the pen when they put it in there, or B, not turning it around the other way. So they're just drawing little smiley faces on the back of their neck without even realizing. Or maybe they are realizing it and are hoping people who noticed, in which case, congrats, you beat me at that game. Ooh, let's end this one off on one that I find myself personally invested in. You have this image of a, alt girl driving a John Deere tractor. And the reason this one is personal to me, because I know who this creator is, I don't remember the name off the top, but I do remember that in those very same Demonia's boots they are pressing the pedals on this big boy in, they set foot onto the parking lot of the Bass Pro Pyramid, a bona fide holy site for any Kwite viewer, or just people with taste in general. You know what, I got time for one more. We have a dude just blatantly going out of his way to disrespect every don't do this ordinance in his local area. Maybe he even put this shit up himself based on what he had in hand. No cat, no drink, no beers, no glasses, no parking. Actually, he didn't park, did he? And no hats. Now, I'm gonna take this back a little bit because I've always found that rule in schools to be kind of cringe. They always say it's like related to no gang symbolism because like the symbols on certain hats can be regarding gang affiliation. Then why the fuck did that extend to an Undertale beanie? I saw someone told to remove that shit off their head because it was like dress code. Some of the people writing these rules thinks that like a girl's shoulders being visible is the greatest sin this side of 9/11. And on that note, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Has a lot of stuff we could go through, so if this does well enough, I could definitely do a follow-up. If you guys want to see that, be sure to drop a like and let me know in the comments, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss an upload. That card I mentioned should be on screen if you enjoyed this one. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see y'all next time.